what's up you guys? My name is Rachel and in this video we're going to be doing some Valentine's Day glam makeup. I'm going to be using my Tati Beauty Textured Neutrals Volume 1 palette and my Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette to do this eye look. Typically I'm kind of a neutral brown kind of chick, but I thought for the holiday we would do something a little more fun. While you're here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you're notified when I post new videos. I post tutorials, product reviews, get ready with me's, all different types of beauty related videos. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of that, and keep watching if you want to see how I completed this look. All right, we're getting started with some primer today. I'm using the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer, and I'm going to wet my skin first. By the way, this top is supposed to be like this, but ain't no way it's gonna stay like that through this whole video. Okay, so I'm gonna wet my skin with the Bioderma Soothing Refreshing Water. Yeah, this is really extra, but I like doing this before I put on this primer so that it's extra tacky. And makeup sticks to that really well. So I'm just taking some of this. Just a little bit because this stuff goes a long way. And I don't want my skin to have too much on it before I lay down the makeup so that things don't pill up or ball up while I'm doing that. This primer is so good if you have oily skin or if you have skin that makeup moves around on a lot. It really locks everything in place and just kind of grabs onto it. And then for foundation, I'm using the Infallible Pro Matte from L'Oreal. I know, shocker, I'm not using the other Infallible, the Fresh Wear one. This one says it's a demi-matte finish, but I find this to be pretty stinking matte. It's really light though, so I just try to moisturize my skin really well before I use it. I'm also really sparing with powder when I use this foundation. So I'm just gonna put some down onto my palette here. This is 101.5 Ivory Buff. I think it's a pretty decent shade match, but we'll see. And then I'm gonna take my beauty sponge from Real Techniques and just pick some up on the flat side here. Yeah, I think that's a really good match. And I usually like using a foundation brush, but with this one, I feel like it dries down really quick, so I don't have a lot of time to work with it on a brush, but it applies really well with a sponge, so that's what we're doing. And I really like this foundation, you guys. If you have oily skin, this is one to check into. I don't use it all the time. It's more of like a warm weather foundation for me. Forget the ears. And my neck is so pale. Going down the neck with it too. Guys, especially when you're wearing a top like this that shows all of this area, you want to go down the neck with foundation and a little bit of bronzer to kind of even everything up, so it's a little more believable. Even if you have like a perfect match to your skin tone, there's gonna be like a difference in texture on the skin too. So that's something to think about when you're doing this. All right, next up we're doing concealer, and I'm using two concealers. I'm using Tarte Shape Tape in the shade Fair Light Neutral, and then I'm also using the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer in the shade Light Peach. I'm gonna do the Tarte Shape Tape kind of all under my eye like that. And then I'm going to do just a tiny dot of the e.l.f. concealer. Oh, goodness, that is so much product that comes out on this wand. Like, good Lord. No, ma'am. Get back in there. I'm just doing a little bit of e.l.f. in the corners here for some extra brightness. This shade is very bright. I really love this combination together. It just works really well. And as I said earlier, I'm going to go really light on the powder today because this foundation is very matte. And I'm also going to be using powder contour products, powder blush. So I want to go really light on the powder whenever I set. Did you guys get a chance to watch my Blendiful review? There has been some major drama with that. A lot of people are having issues with the Blendifuls tearing when they wash them, and they're noticing that the Blendifuls aren't sewn together, that they're actually glued at the seams, which I found kind of strange. I didn't have that problem even though I washed it several times and I put it in the washer and I didn't use the gentle cycle and it still came out fine. My issue was washing the Blendiful in general because I couldn't get the foundation out of it. So I'm just going to be using that thing for powder going forward. I haven't even attempted to wash it again because it was just such a pain. Like I said in my Blendiful review, I'm going to keep buying Tati products, but I'm not using that Blendiful for foundation. Tati can have my money, but she cannot have my time. No, ma'am. Guys, I actually did my hair for you before I started filming today. It's still wild because I have to like push it out of my face, but it's better than it has been in some videos. I'm gonna wipe some of this foundation off my lips here. If not, it's gonna drive me nuts. Now we need to set. I'm just gonna take some RCMA No Color Setting Powder. Just taking a tiny bit onto my palette, bouncing out any creases under my eye. And I'm gonna pick up a little bit on my beauty blender or beauty sponge and just tap that off. I want just enough to set the makeup, not enough to make it dry. Now for the rest of my face, I'm going to take a powder brush from Real Techniques and dip into my translucent powder and then tap off. And just lightly set everything. Now I am going to take my BH Studio Pro Shade and Define 10 Color Contour Palette and a setting brush from Real Techniques. This one right here, this is a 402. And I'm gonna dip into this really light pinky kind of shade here. Just get a little bit of powder on my brush. Go under the eye with that. To brighten things up a little bit. And kind of pull it outward this way. We are doing bronzer next before I move into contour powder. And I'm gonna use my Becca brush today. This is kind of a different brush. I haven't even looked up what the name of this is, but I love using this brush for bronzing and for contour. It's very dense, but it doesn't hold on to a lot of product and it leaves a really smooth finish on everything. So I really like that. And I'm using the KIKO Milano Green Me Bronzer in the shade 101 Sweet Honey. Looks like that. It's pretty light. It's not a very intense bronzer. And this one is a very good dupe for the Too Faced Chocolate Bronzer. It even smells a little bit like it. Just picking up a little bit like this. And then going in on the sides of my forehead and around my hairline to bronze up. Guys, when you are bronzing or contouring your forehead, make sure you work the products a little bit into your hairline so that there's not a, you know, lighter perimeter around where you're bronzing and contouring. Okay, take a little bit more. I'm gonna go on the cheekbone, and the beauty of this for cheek contouring is that it's shaped like that and it's long and skinny, so you can really just do this number and then start swirling. And it applies really softly. I'm just kind of warming up the face a little bit, and then I'm going to go back in with a smaller brush and some contour powder from that BH palette and kind of define these shadows a little bit more. So I'm going to go behind the ear like this, under the jawline. Just to make my face stand out a little bit from my neck. All right, now I'm gonna take my BH palette again and the Rebel Edge medium brush, looks like that, kind of a little contouring brush from Real Techniques, and I'm gonna dip into this shade just a little bit. I'm not going hard with this at all. And then just right here where I want to deepen the shadow, I'm going to go in with a little more color. Kind of swirl like this and blend it out. We want all this really soft and diffused, so no harsh lines. Take a little bit more of that and go very corners of my forehead to round out my hairline a bit. I'm gonna take just a little bit more and go right here. Okay, now I'm going to do kind of an extra step that I don't always do, but I think with a matte foundation, it's kind of necessary. I'm gonna add some ambient lighting powder from Hourglass in the shade Dim Light. And this is a very soft powder. It's not like sparkly by any means. It just has just like a slight glow to it. And I'm gonna take my same powder brush that I set with and just kind of dust that off and go in like this and just swirl some all over the brush. And then I hit kind of the high points of my face. So I do my forehead a little bit, not in the center where I get oily, but on the sides here. And then cheeks like that. And then tip of my nose. And then where this really makes a big difference is on your collarbone area. Say you've put foundation and powder there and things start to look a little bit flat, but the rest of your skin has kind of a sheen to it. You can go back in with this powder and it adds kind of some life back to your skin. So that's a really good trick, especially in photos. This reflects just a little bit of light and makes your skin look really healthy. So I love that trick. And I load this stuff up. And you can do your shoulders too. I really like it and I want more. All right, perfect. Now we're ready for blush. I'm doing kind of like a pink, you know, purple eye. So I didn't want to go crazy at first with blush. And then I saw this in my bathroom and I'm like, okay, let's do it. This is the Essence Mosaic blush in the Berry Connection. It's shade 40. But what I'm going to do, I'm tapping in with my Morphe M554 and just doing like this. And then, and you can see this blush is crazy pink. I'm going to, in my hand, just kind of tap a little bit of this off so it's not just hanging out at the surface of the brush. And then on the apples, go in. That's really pretty, but it definitely has to be controlled, otherwise it's way too intense. I forgot to bronze my nose, so we need to do that. Okay, same thing on the other side, just tapping in and then tapping off the excess on my hand. Okay, so since I forgot to bronze my nose, we're gonna do that really quick. I'm just gonna take this brush and my bronzer. I'm not gonna do like harsh contour or anything on my nose. I'm just gonna pick up a little bit of bronzer, go down the sides of my nose and across the tip. Okay, now it's time to start on eyes. And as I said before, I'm going to be using my Tati Beauty Texture Neutrals palette and my Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. First shade I'm going to take is the matte shade from the Aura row right here. It's a good base color and I'm just dipping in with this fluffy brush. And what I'm going to do is just cover my entire lid with this kind of creamy shade. Like that. Next up, I'm going to use this kind of long tapered brush to go into my Huda Beauty palette. And I'm taking the shade Eden. Right here is my transition shade. Kind of coat my brush evenly all over. This one is very powdery. I don't know if you can see all the kickback here, but these mattes are very powdery in this palette. They work really well, so I don't care about that, but just so you know. And what I'm gonna do is just stay kind of above the crease and a little bit into the crease and just work this transition shade in between the crease and my brow bone. Okay, that looks really good. Nice and blended, and that didn't take a lot of work either, so that's nice. Picking up a little bit more for the other side. Just doing windshield washer motion. Okay, that's a really good place to start. Now I'm gonna go back into my Tati palette, and I'm taking kind of a fluffy brush that looks like this. It's kind of skinny, but it is pretty fluffy. And I'm going to define the crease a bit. I'm gonna use the matte shade in the Poet row for that. And it looks kind of maroon, but it ends up coming out pretty pink. And I'm just getting this on the very tip of my brush so I can be precise about where I'm putting the color. I'm gonna kind of lay it down and blend it. And I have pretty hooded eyes, so I try to avoid going heavy in this corner area. That's where I run into trouble with my hooded eye. So I'm gonna stay kind of in this region and then just taper off right here. And again, this is not gonna look super blended at first. That's okay. I'm just trying to get some color down, and then I will go back and blend. You guys, I'm supposed to be filming a commercial for work today. So I'm gonna come in and they're gonna be like, what is this pink eyeshadow? See how hot pink that comes off? And you would not really guess that in the pan whenever you're looking at this, right? Okay, so now I'm gonna take that same brush I went in with Eden, and I'm going to kind of just, without picking up more product first, I'm gonna go on the outsides of this and just blend a little bit more. Notice I left the entire lid blank. I did that for a reason. I want to leave all that lid space open for now. Now I'm going to do the other eye. Okay, going in with my tapered brush to blend the edges a little bit. All right, guys, do you have any Valentine's Day plans? I'm probably going to just hang out at home and make some dinner. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, next up, I'm gonna take a really pointed little pencil brush like this. I don't know if you guys can see that. And I'm gonna go into kind of a chocolate shade. I think it's called Oud. I don't know, O-U-D. And I'm going to tap into that a little bit. And this shade's really intense, so I'm gonna make sure I tap my brush off. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into the crease and define the crease a little bit further. And then I'm also going to create an outer V with this. So I'm gonna tilt my head back like that and start kind of drawing this line. I'm just following the shape of my eye with this. It doesn't end up looking brown, it just adds a little more depth. And I'm going to take a little bit more and concentrate right here. See that? Okay, now that that's laid down, I'm going to take the brush that I used for the Poet shade, that pink shade. Make sure everything's kind of tapped off of that. I'm even gonna brush any excess off on my hand so that I'm really not depositing any more color. And then I'm just gonna go in and lightly graze the edges of this brown shade to blend it into the pink. Okay, now I'm just gonna do the same thing on the other eye. Dipping into that brown shade with my small brush. Next up, I'm going to take my finger and dip into the shade Twilight from the Huda palette. It's like a, I don't even know how you would describe this shade. I'll just swatch it. Can you even see that? No, that's all right. Just put it on. And I'm going just in the very center of my lid with this shade, right next to where I put that outer V shade. Ooh, that is so pretty. I'm gonna take kind of a very small flat little brush like that, and I'm gonna wet this. And you can just use water or you can use setting spray. And I'm gonna dip into the shade Angelic. This is kind of a gold pink shade. And then I'm gonna do just the very inner corner here of my eyelid. Okay, perfect. I'm loving that. Okay, we're done with the lid. Now let's move on to lower lash line. I'm gonna take the shade Eden, my transition shade, and this little brush here, dip into Eden, and then just go all along the lower lash line with that, kind of as my base. Meet up with the outer corner here. Okay, now I'm going to take that same brush that I just used, and I'm going to dip into the Poet, the Poet Sequin. Oh, I just like got into that glitter. Dang it, glitter everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to dip into this sequin shade. It's like a matte, but it has some glitter in it. So I'm going to just barely dip into that. And then go along the bottom lash line. Same thing on the other eye. Okay, now I'm going to take my teeny little brush that I used for that brown shade, go back into my Huda palette, pick just a little bit of this brown shade up on the very tip of my brush. I'm going to stay very tight to the lash line, and I'm almost going to use it like a liner. And then I'm going to take that small flat brush that I used for the very inner corner, and I'm going to take that same Angelic shade, that pinky gold, and again wet my brush because it is very crumbly, and just go very inner corner here. Just kind of meeting up to what we put on the lid up there. Okay, eyeshadow is done. Now we're gonna do some eyeliner. I'm using the Rimmel Scandaleyes waterproof gel liner in the shade brown. I love this pencil. I don't want to do black. I think it's going to be a little harsh with the look that I'm trying to do. So I'm just going to be lining the top lash line with this. Now I'm going to line the lower waterline with an eyeliner pencil from Dollar Tree that I used in my Dollar Tree video. I actually really love this. It's Sinful Colors Stop and Stare Gel Eyeliner. It's kind of a pink with a gold reflex, and it looks very similar to that shade that I put in the inner corner. So I'm going to just do this number. And my eyes are about to be so bloodshot. They have eyeshadow all over them. Lord help me. Good to go there. Now I need some eyebrows for sure. I'm going to use my ColourPop Brow Boss Gel, and this is just clear. And I'm just going to go all through my brows, kind of giving them some shape. I just kind of run it backwards through my brows like this. And then brush upward. And then to finish up my brows, I'm going to use the Anastasia DipBrow Pomade in the shade Taupe. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Brows are even. I'm gonna do some lips really quick. I'm gonna use my favorite lip liner of all time. It's the NYX Slim Lip Pencil in the shade Nude Truffle. And then I'm going to do a matte lip today. This is actually from Victoria's Secret. This is a Velvet Matte Cream Lip Stain in the shade Adored. I haven't worn matte lips in so long. I used to wear basically nothing but matte liquid lipstick, and I just kind of got away from it for a while. I don't know why. Okay, all we have left is mascara and some setting spray. I'm going to curl my lashes, and then I'm going to be using the Voluminous Lash Paradise waterproof mascara, and this is Blackest Black. I was going to do lashes, and then I was like, nah, don't need them. All right, and on the bottom, I'm going to be using CoverGirl Lash Blast Volume in brown, just something a little less harsh for the lower lash line. I think that looks pretty dang good. What do you guys think? All right, now we just need to set. I'm going to use 2 setting sprays. Because this foundation is pretty matte, I'm going to use my Morphe Continuous Setting Mist, which is glycerin based, and it will kind of bring some life back to my makeup. And then I'm going to set with a second one that's a little more mattifying and that kind of locks things in. I'm literally out of this. What the hell? Good thing I have a backup. Not going to catch me slipping today, Satan. Okay, and then the second one is from Bella Jade. It's a makeup setting spray. It's from Amazon, and I love this one. All right, guys, that about wraps things up for this Valentine's Day glam. I hope you enjoyed watching and hanging out with me. If you did, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up, and make sure you're subscribed and ring the bell so you're notified when I post new videos. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.